Propaganda is the pandemic. COVID is the cult. The jab is the plague. The masquerade for morons. The lawless make law. The liars, the news. Perverts are praised. Cops culled. Troops gelded. Wolves flock the herd. But wolves fear bison, and bison fear nothing. Wovoka, the ghost dance founder, dreamed with Yeshua and foretold the return of the buffalo. Crazy Horse saw the red race rising again as a blessing for a sick world. But when the supply lines are slit and the smoke clears, it's sick, stupid slaves against free, wild warriors. The fearful against the fearless. Soft metrosexuals with pets versus hard vets with children. And the red line, our doorstep. Conceived and raped, orphaned and adopted, claimed by Christians, initiated by indigenous, tribally trained, martial arts mastered, PSYOPs and special forces served, decades of duty in DEA and DIA, intelligence inducted, deep state betrayed, Yeshua saved, dedicated to Republic rescue, American exceptionalism, and redemption by God's grace. I'm Jeff Prather, and this is the Prather Point. Lagote, she Jeff Prather Gonzalez, Gojun. Hi, I'm Jeff Prather, and this is the Prather Point. I'm speaking to you in Inde, in Apache, the language of my heritage. And since this is Native American Month, I thought I would do a special because I'm traveling, so I'm recording. I've already recorded this for one of my TV shows, but I owe a great debt to the tribal peoples who welcomed, adopted me, and trained me. So I was very blessed. You know, I am a product of rape. I was adopted by a great family, but I always felt a strong calling to Native America. My dad even recognized this. He took me out of school, private Summit Country Day school, where I had wool suits and striped ties, to watch a movie called Apache with Burt Lancaster about Maasai, true Apache. There's a Maasai point in Arizona way back. And eventually my wonderful wife found my birth mom, who was born in Comanche, Oklahoma, Indian Territory, exactly where the Kiowa, Comanche, and Apache were relocated. So it's been a long circle, and eventually I ended up training under an Inde Diyin, an Apache medicine man. Diyi in Inde, an Apache is power, and Diyin is an empowered one. And I wrote about that in my book, Initiation. Boys and girls are trained, men and women are boys and girls are born, men and women are trained. My journey with an Apache medicine man, true story. You can go to all the locations in that book. And since it's Native American Month, I thought I would do Autochthonous America. Autochthonous means sprung from the place, from the Greek. And that is what the tribal peoples say, that they did not come from Africa. They sprang from here. There is more research coming showing specific genetic codes that is indeed the case. And of course, that is really what happens. Every year, there are more species discovered that springs out of nothing from the creator into the creation, spoken into existence, as opposed to evolution, which has never been proven, by the way. And evolution versus creationism is not a valid argument anyway, because it had to have evolved from something. We do evolve inside the womb, start with gills and tails and change. There is evolution inside the womb. There is no evidence of evolution beyond that. And I follow the old traditions, the oral histories that I have been taught. Makes a lot more sense. And it's very clear. And so I wanted to talk about the basis for American exceptionalism, because we will win, we will survive this, but only if we follow our heritage. And our heritage, which makes us exceptional. American exceptionalism is based upon our exceptional love of life and freedom. We love life and freedom so much that we will fight, kill, and die for it. We will love life and freedom so much that we will send our sons and daughters out to foreign lands to fight, kill, and die for it. And when we are unleashed, we always win, but we are rarely unleashed. We haven't been unleashed since World War II. But when we are unleashed, we always win. And when we win, the American warriors do something that no other country in the world has ever done. They give that country back because they are so devoted to life and freedom, because God, the Creator, says that life and freedom are good and that death and slavery are bad. So that American exceptionalism comes from our exceptional love of life and freedom, which comes from our trifold Judeo-Christic and native heritage. So the Judeo is the early Judaism. I like Karaite Judaism, or just the Torah. And of course, that is essential to the Ten Commandments. I'm the Lord your God who freed you. No other lesser gods before me, no graven, carved images. It's interesting because the shroud of Turin is not carved. It's very lightly burned from the inside. I believe it is Yeshua's shroud, and giving evidence of the cosmic event there. But anyway, no graven images. Honor the Sabbath, take a rest, finish a cycle, because the Creator's creation has order to it from the Big Bang, at the separation, the disconnection, the war in heaven, because the Bible starts at the end, because it was a scroll, not a flat document. The Bible begins at the end. We are children born of war, in war. War is our natural state. It will always be thus. It has always been thus. But the creation brings about an order. That is spring, summer, fall, winter. They are not reversed. Childhood, youth, adulthood, old age. Black peoples, white peoples, red peoples, yellow peoples. There is a cycle. There is an order. The Big Bang explosion does not bring chaos like most explosions. It brings order. And there is clear order in the golden ratio. Whether you look at a snail shell, the curve of my ear, the Milky Way, you'll see the golden ratio, and therefore consistent, intelligent design, indicating a creator, an intelligent designer. And all indigenous peoples recognize the creator. In fact, that's what they like to say. The creator of life, or the master of life, is a great way to say that. So besides no graven images, honor the Sabbath, which is finish a cycle before you start another cycle. The Sabbath marking the beginning and end of a cycle. Honor your parents. Don't steal. Don't murder, not kill, not don't murder. Don't covet anything of your neighbors, and don't bear false witness. By the way, it's interesting that the Jews have the original Ten Commandments, but then the Catholics and Protestants can't even agree on the same Ten Commandments. So Yeshua comes along and says, well, okay, 10 are too much, that you can't even get them down the hill, Moses, and you guys can't even agree on them, so I'll simplify them, quote the Torah, and say, just love God with your whole might, heart, and power, and love your neighbor as yourself. The rest of the law hinges upon that. But there is also the native commandments, the warrior commandments, the North American indigenous warrior commandments, which are oral history, and that is, nothing must ever be done to harm the children, and everything is born of woman. And now, as we see that we have lost a fifth generation, our government has lost a fifth generation culture war with China and non-state transnational enemies to change the culture. We see the importance of that. The FDA buys freshly killed fetuses. They want to do mobile baby killing stations. The Satanic Church uses this as a sacrament. They are obsessed with killing babies. If they can't kill them before they are born, then they want to jab and addict, to pimp and push drugs into the mother. And if they can't push them into the mother, they want to jab and addict and push and pimp the born babies. Montana, the traditional land of the Absaroke, the Crow, just passed a law where they're not going to help born babies that survive abortion. So God have mercy on Montana for of this. This is terrible. So the first commandment of Native warriors, being that nothing must ever be harmed to children, is a terrible violation and sin that pop culture in America is committing. And then the second is just as important, and that is everything is born of woman, not trannies pretending to be women so that they can then groom and rape whomever they are around, not castrating men to be pretend women, not pretending that they've had babies and lying in front of everybody. It doesn't work that way. And anybody who is a indigenous person, a Autochthonous person, an earth person, not a first world fire person. Indigenous people call first world people fire people because they use fire. They use electronics to send the lightnings, as in the scripture. But indigenous people, the worldwide Indians, whether they're in Africa or Afghanistan, they are Indians. And you can use the term Indian. It's not an insult. Indian comes from en Dio in Spanish, in God. And so it is actually a compliment, of course, not to the atheists who want to kill babies, but to traditional peoples, babies are so important. And so it's really about children and mothers. And that really sums up the Native American warrior ethic. And so that's why that is so important, because if we don't pay attention to that now, we will be lost. How are we going to survive what is going on is by looking to those who came before us and how they survived, not trying to teach them anything. In some tongues, tribal tongues, whites are called those who come to teach us everything all the time. And they don't recognize the importance of Native America and traditions. But it is extremely important. And I went to learn, and I studied under Inde de Hunter in Spanish, but his Inde name is the Shkun, broken arrow, which means peace. He is the grandson. He was the grandson of chiefs, and he welcomed me. I have also been ordained to pray with the Chanupa, and the Chanupa is the prayer pipe, not a peace pipe, and there's no drugs in there. It's just kinnikinnick, red willow bark, native tobacco, which doesn't give you cancer, because the original medicines are to accentuate our connection, just like spirits. Energy flows better through water with alcohol in it. All of the original sacraments, whether it's wine or spirits or peyote or anything, is to accentuate the connection in sacrament uses, not to be abused. Of course, today it's abused all of the time. So it has become profane, just like the sacred act of marriage. But the important thing here, the most important thing to realize, and I have been teaching this since my Shiwoye, my Inde grandfather, passed in 1985 while I was deployed in Central America, working with the Mosquito Indians and the Kuna Indians and the Aymara Indians in the Andes and Bolivia, is the most important piece. So the Judaic piece is the commandments. If you follow these, you'll be happier, you'll be closer to God. The two commandments, that's the center of the law. Yeshua is the Messiah, Jesus is the Christ. Follow these 2 commandments, you'll be better. You will be with Christ, with God. But the 2 native commandments are also important and not to be overlooked, because we live in Native America and everybody lives in tribal territory. The same way you fish in the Arctic is not the same way you fish in Hawaii, but you are both fishing. But it's much better to fish the way Hawaiian Indians have fished for thousands of years than to try and extrapolate that way elsewhere, because it won't work as well. So if we learn from Native America, we will survive the same sins, missing the mark, an archery term, a warrior term, that European colonists committed against the tribes, encroaching from the west, from the east, and from the south. The same thing, the same sins are being committed against us now. So, but synagogues, churches, and sweat lodges